the Africa. I say good afternoon, everybody. If it's in your place, money, we say good morning to you. If it's in the evening, your side, I say good evening to you all. I remain yours, the one and only Khumo, Africa. So we are live now on the African Portal Radio TV, South Africa, to present to you as our regular. This will be the first program we're going to have in this new year 2021. Khumo Africa is live and healthy. I welcome you all to our program live. As we all know, the Voice of Africa is the program whereby we showcase every African brothers, every African youth, brothers and sisters all over the world, both in Africa and in diaspora. So I'm welcoming you all. Dumelan, Saubona, uh, Deneka in Nigeria, also in Liberia. As we are moving from South Africa to Liberia this afternoon, I say, yeah, hello to you in Liberia. So as we are touching that side, we greet everybody also. I say in Ugandan, I say, Abari Samchana. I say, Salamu alaikum in Tanzania and Egypt and Cameroon and every part of Africa. I greet you. I say, bonjour. I say, how are you? Good afternoon, everybody. I welcome you all to the African Portal Radio TV International, situated in South Africa. Right now, we are engaging, we are moving, we are riding our big plane, we are taking it, we are flying down to the part of the western part of Africa, which is Liberia. So we have our brother to catch in that side. So we are going to catch the brother who is one of the a youth, one of the youth leaders, also a brother who believes in the development of Africa, a brother who I will later on introduce the brother. Let's enjoy this music from and Kamfi Adam from Liberia. And the other tribes in Liberia, Good afternoon, everybody. Once again, I'm yours, Khumo, Africa. But in order not to waste much of our time, we'll go straight to our program today. I'm inviting one of our brother from western part of Africa. His name is Daya Prince Youlo from Morovia. So I'm welcoming our brother. He's a certified instructor of biology and chemistry, an early childhood developer, secondary education and lab technician, among several disciplines. He's also the Secretary General of Earth Life International, a youth group engaged with building an environment that works for youth and future generation. Also, thereby, they are to protect, defend, negotiate, and produce policies for youth participatory role in building a sustainable development and climate resilient future, in line with partners through education and public awareness. He is now currently a director of scientific research and extension at Ignite, a group of potential young people pushing for STEM education. As of 2017, he became a licensed coach and an active quizzer at the International Quizzing Association. So I welcome our brother from the western part of Africa, known as Mr. Daha Brains Yohulo. Yeah, hello, Mr. Daha Brains.
Hello, my brother Khumo, Africa. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing so very well.
So welcome to the
Thank you.
African Portal Radio TV live in South Africa, Pretoria. So we are welcoming you to our program, The Voice of Africa. I hope Liberia is good with you over there. Hello? Can you hear me clearly over
The
there?
people of Liberia.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I
So
bring you
which part of
greetings from the
Liberia
people of
are you?
Liberia, and we say
Okay.
I'm in Monrovia.
Okay, Morovia. Yeah. So we are hearing you. You can continue. I thought you want to greet our people in Liberia. I just want you to greet them. Then we move on with our program.
Good afternoon, Liberia. Good afternoon, Nigeria. Good afternoon, Ivory Coast. Good afternoon, Uganda. Good afternoon, Tanzania. Good afternoon, South Africa. Good afternoon, Ghana. Good afternoon, Guinea-Bissau. Good afternoon to the people of Africa, the United States of Africa. I'm
Yeah.
so very happy to be here. And as you say in Swahili, Makana Mwemna. And as you say in Yoruba, Kansa, good afternoon.
All right, thank you, bro. So, as you have greeted people all over Africa, I would like you to just greet people from your tribe, in your own tribe. I want to hear how you speak that.
Good afternoon in Bassad, Mwema, Mwe, Amombasoga.
Okay, thank you, my bro. I appreciate because the languages in Africa is superb. So we have to appreciate our languages. So we have to put the
That,
priority on the indigenous languages in Africa. So we have to recognize our languages in Africa, irrespective of where we come from. We have to recognize that our
yeah.
language must be the first priority in everywhere we be in Africa and beyond Africa. So, as we have recognized you, we have introduced you to the people who are listening to you, who are listening to us, and who are watching us live on the African Portal Radio TV, South Africa, Pretoria. So, I would like you to just tell me just your background, I mean, your education background, where you come from. We want people to know you better on this platform.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so very much. Folks, there, my name is Brains Youlo. I am an instructor of chemistry and biology in some private schools in Liberia. I'm also currently the Secretary General of a youth organization, Healthy Life International. And this youth organization is in line we're forming partnership with government and NGOs and CSO that bridge the gap between youths and government, thereby introducing remedies or policies that affect young people from the internet arena to peace building arena to health arena and all of the challenges that suppress young people in Liberia. Also, I am the director for scientific research and extension at the
Okay.
former Yossisat. We now call it
Okay.
Innoverge. This is a group of young Liberians that have taken to providing STEM education in Liberia and other parts of the world.
Okay.
Away from that,
Um,
I'm also a writer because I like poetry, and I'm also a writer and I write
okay.
poetry. And
Okay.
these are just some of what I've been able to do recently.
Okay, that's great, man. I really appreciate that. I welcome you. Lots of achievement. That is why we say youth cannot be neglected in any society. We have to encourage the youth in the society. We have to guide the youth in the society. We have to make them to know that they are recognized in the society. In any society where there are no youth or where the youths are not recognized, that society will nowhere to be found. It means with the development in any society, if any development will happen in the society, it means the youth must be carried along. It means the youth must be aware. It means the youth must be initiated. It means the youth must be guided. That is why I appreciate what you have been doing in Liberia, especially in Monrovia. Will I ask you another question that goes thus that will you I call yourself a typical African youth, if I may ask?
Yes, my brother Kumo. I think the definition the definition of a typical African youth, clearly as I understand it, is one that is giving the ideas of Pan-Africanism. And if I should be
Okay.
called a typical African youth, that means that I should have a sense of shared ideas and values and standards of behavior, especially in Africa. So with
Okay.
these and I have, I can proudly say that I am a typical African youth.
Oh, that's great. So I can really see that you are truly an African youth because an African youth, we also believe in the unity of African brothers and sisters in Africa and beyond. Because when you're talking about Africa beyond, we are talking about the Africans in diaspora. We are talking about our black brothers and sisters in USA, in UK, in Caribbean, in Brazil, and many other in Haiti and many other countries in outside Africa. So it means we really appreciate that to be a typical African man. So the next thing I would just need to share with you is there any difference between the African youth of yesteryears and today's youth? Can you compare or can we say something? Do we have any difference between the Africans? If you look at the society where you live in Monrovia, if you look at your area, you look at your country as Liberia as a country, can you just differentiate between the youth we heard in yesteryears? I'm talking about the olden days youth compared to the youth of nowadays. What will you say about that?
Yeah, there's not a thin line between the African youth of yesteryears and today's youth. What I think is that in order to answer this question, we should look at the area and periods of the two said group of people. And if
Okay.
you should look at the African youths of yesterday, then we should consider what they were faced with during
Okay.
yesteryears. And if
Okay.
I am giving latitude of time, then we should appreciate that because African youth of yesteryears have been informed by what we call colonialism, and that they were
Okay.
faced because it's not far away from what they tried to do. And if you allow me to refer to you, even in Ghana, you see the likes of Kwame Nkrumah. If you go
Okay.
to Tanzania, if you go to Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta, if you look at
Okay.
Agostino Neto and Leopold Senghor of Senegal, you realize
Yeah.
that because there has been shared ideas, so those youth recognize that there should be unity in diversity. And
Okay.
allow me to refer to you what we have now as the present or today's youth. What
Okay.
we are now faced with is that because the yesteryears youth they fought, and what with this present youth they are trying to maintain. So there is not really total difference because there have been an area of change, but that there is, as a manner of speaking, an upgraded version of today's youth in a manner of ways.
Okay. Okay. If I should charge you a little bit, you are saying is the youth of today, they are upgraded version of the youth of yesteryears. But there are some things we need to check in this aspect. So when you say
Yeah.
they are upgraded fashion, so if you look at the youth of yesterdays, they respected elders. If you go through our culture, we value our culture, our mode of dressing, our languages, the way we talk, the way we speak, the way we greet, the way we eat. All these aspects I'm talking about. If you compare it to today's youth, will you still be saying that they are upgraded fashion, or will I say are they deviating from the real culture of the youth of yesteryears?
Okay. Allow me to inform you what I mean by upgraded,
Okay.
because we should appreciate our culture, the tradition of yesteryears, the norms. And what I mean by they have upgraded in a manner of speaking is that the path of DNA that our forefathers have had for culture and respect to elders and respect to great heads and respect to culture and dress code is a
Okay.
little bit different or quite different from what we have today. And if you
Hmm.
allow me to tell you, African youth of yesteryears believe in the love for elders, they respected old people, they practice cultural and norms in a way that is not so reflective in what we have today as African youth, especially in Liberia.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, my bro. So if that should be the case, if you're saying okay, the youths of today they are trying to get along with the cultural values of Africa, then that will make me to remind to pose a question to you, which says, will you accept Western culture over African culture? So if you are going to accept, can you just give me the reason if you're not? So what are your reasons that will make you to say no?
Thank you, my brother. I cannot accept Western culture for a number of reasons. Number
Okay.
one, civilization started in Africa, precisely in Egypt. And if you
Hmm.
look at the lands where they had the Tigris and the Euphrates,
Mhm.
the modern translation of the writing, the calendar system, all began in Africa. That's number
Hmm.
one. Number
Okay.
two, Western civilization has so much negative impacts that if I am to be called Pan Africanism, I cannot accept Western civilization over my cherished African culture. And if you
Hmm.
allow me to further expand on what I mean, what I'm being faced with is that if you should look at the pontificating Europe or the European nations, they have tutored in such a way that is quite different from what we have had and loved in Africa. And because they have replicated and stole our own African heritage, I cannot in any way adapt to a Western culture. No, I will be doing the wrong thing.
All righty. If you are saying that, you can't. But we can still see that there are some parts of Western culture that doesn't go wrong with African culture. Do you agree with that?
I beg to question that
Okay.
for a number of reasons.
Okay.
And this is to be found number one in the way the Western culture handle diversity and compare
Okay.
it to what Africans do in terms of diversity. Number
Okay.
one, the idea about the free will, because you will agree with me that the Declaration of Independence, as I am told, it states that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these
Okay.
are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If that is to be
Okay.
found, then we cannot erase our own history of our way of life. Our way of life in Africa has been one that has been overshadowed because of the impact of the Western colonizer on Africa. And allow me, even though that I say we do not and we should not adapt to Western culture, the white man education is good. But that
Okay.
if we should appreciate the white man education, we should define education in the language of Africa. And if we should define education in the language of Africa, that means that cultural mosaic, norms, and traditions should be practiced from birth to death. We should not
Hmm.
substitute, we should not replicate Western civilization because Western civilization has undermined and will continue to undermine our long lost heritage.
Okay. All right. If that should be the case, if you look at the educational system in Liberia, yeah, that was being brought by the colonialists. If you should remember, before Liberia was liberated, yeah, now compared to the education we have in Liberia recently, will you say that the educational system in Liberia is in tandem, is in support of the true African education? What do you think
Okay,
about that?
okay, let's look at education in Liberia. Out of the 54 African countries, you realize that if not all, by several ways they were colonized, either by direct rule, indirect rule, or imperialism. But
Okay.
that Liberia in 1822, they were said that by the so-called liberators who call themselves the American Colonization Society. These were people who thought that slavery was not a good thing. But allow me to take you through the direction of education in Liberia.
Okay.
You realize that in Liberia, our cultural under education has allowed us to survive the poor and sandy society. And the poor and sandy society where man and women or boys and girls will be schooled, will be taught in the ways that support Africa. So that even if you should introduce Western education, the love for our own African education is still key and is still paramount, especially now in the 21st century in Liberia. And allow me to make a kind of a demonstration to clear my point.
Okay.
The white man came with colonialism because after the fall of slavery, they brought another enterprise called the neo-colonialism. And but
Okay.
this time, our African brothers were not silent, and Liberia was not far behind. You hear people there saying that they wanted to be free, and that if they wanted to be free, as I understand, then the love and the practice of education should be done and should be defined in the African way. And that is why we instituted these societies, the Poro Society, the Sandy Society, so that African youth could be taught and could be shown the ways of Africa.
All right, thank you, my brother. So, if that should be the case, do you think youths are being neglected in Africa?
Come again?
Do you think
Come again?
youth are being neglected in Africa? If you look at what has been happening in every part of Africa, what has been happening in Liberia, what has been happening in Uganda, if you look at the recent issues between president and other opposition parties, do look at that of the crisis in Nigeria. My question is, youth, do you think they are being neglected in Africa?
Yes,
Because
yes,
when youth talk,
they are being neglected, and this is to be found in Liberia, and is it to be found in Nigeria, as it is to be found in Uganda, as it is to be found in Cameroon, in Senegal, in Mali, in South Sudan, and other parts of Africa. And
okay,
allow me to provide latitude for how this neglection or neglect has impacted so terribly African youths. I think that African neglect is expressed in three ways. Number
okay,
one, unemployment. Number
hmm,
two, migration. Number
okay,
three, the radicalization amongst African youth.
hmm, okay. I'm listening to you.
Okay, and if you should look at the terrible neglect on the African youth, and as I explained, number one, unemployment. Africa's transformative agenda is strengthened by the high level of unemployment amongst African youth. And
Okay.
now the continent Africa is predominant by the youth population.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if you look at the population of Africa, approximately 1.5 billion, of that number, there is a huge portion of that number that is predominant by youth. And
Yeah,
that
exactly.
this situation is narrowed by the increasing mismatch of the skilled workers and what
Hmm,
the labor enterprise is willing to work with. So, in
hmm,
that way, there is a high level of unemployment in Africa, and Liberia is not far away. Number two,
hmm.
migration.
Okay.
You have heard stories about the horrifying incidents of mass drowning. And the last time I checked, 2,000 international migrants they died crossing the Mediterranean Sea.
Hmm,
This is because of neglect in Africa.
hmm,
And if you should look at of recent, in 2015, the number of migrants to the international stage across Africa has risen from 13%, that is
hmm,
22.8 million,
hmm,
to 16.2%, that is
hmm,
37.5 million. So this
hmm,
means that Africans and African youth are leaving Africa in search of a better living and livelihood, all because of neglect.
Hmm. All
Number
right.
three, the
Yes.
radicalization.
Okay.
African youth now have been inspired by religious extremists. They have been inspired by wicked politicians, and they are being
Hmm.
used as instruments. They are being used as vessels of violence and
Hmm.
destruction, all
Hmm.
because of neglect.
Hmm.
If you should look at the
Oh,
global terrorism database, the
okay.
reason for such thing is that the lack of opportunities amongst the youth is key to the radicalization, and that
Hmm.
leads to violence and extremism.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I can get you right. If we should look at what is going on in the world, I mean, especially in Africa as a continent, you see the population of the youth who are unemployed is a saddened issue within the African continent. So people are not happy. That is why we have crimes. We have a lot of issues related to poverty and the likes because the
Yeah,
youth are not happy. The youth are being neglected in the society. That is why
yeah,
we have a high rate of unemployment. We have a high rate of migration. When you are not happy in your society and you are not considered to be one of the important person in the society, then you just conclude and say, okay, let me leave my place. Let me go to another place where I will be recognized or where I'm gonna make use of my own talent. And that is why you see youth of nowadays in Africa living from migrating from one area to another where they are going to make use of their life. Also, with that, we see that a kind of a radicalization is coming up. Youth, people that they don't have money, they don't have food to eat in a day, will listen to the politicians who are going to give them just a token to do a deadly service for them. So that one is giving them is giving us in Africa a serious headache. Is that we need an urgent approach towards these issues. So thank you for that. Maybe before we go on, let's just relax to cool the tension because as we are seeing what is happening in Africa, it's not okay. Everybody is not happy. The youth are so hungry. The youth are so desperate nowadays. They want to take over the power of leadership by force because they thought that our fathers, I mean our leaders, they have disappointed us. So they are trying to see that no, things are not going. The youth are looking at the way they see that the way they are doing things is not okay with them by our leaders. So they want to see, they want to take the bull by the horn by providing the lasting solution to the problem in Africa. That is why let's listen to this music from Liberia to cool our tension because I'm not happy also with the situation in Africa. What is happening to you? Let's listen to this song.
Lord, listen to us
It's
now.
called the
Hear
Road
us, let
Song.
everybody
Maybe
hear us
Africa, at the end of the struggle, will get hope. I hope so. The Liberian song. I hope you are listening to that.
Yo, kini wala de na jabano, kini na tabino sa ya wing wala de fala no. Tu wala de ma de tamono, wala de maki de no wala yo we mo de fala no. Wa ku ma jama bi de fika de nga ma se na kidi wala sele no no ma we. Wala de na jabano, so la mo fe before mo de mo wa do de ke ya. Together we fight, together we can make it. And the money my tamono only you believe it. Together we fight, together we can make it. And the money my tamono only you believe it. First I was afraid, I was petrified. Evil, I got us thinking that we can't survive. Lift your head up high, boys and girls and cry. No need for sorrow. There's still tomorrow. Even though we fighting all our yeah, but we might not lose our hope. See, no matter what. say, oh, hey, in the top.
That's it. Thank you very much. That is a song of hope from Liberia. So I hope you can hear it very well like that. So let's go to our topic because people are watching us live from every part of the world. So they are watching us. So about our topic, as we know, we are back live now on the African Portal Radio TV. The issue we are discussing is about the empowering African youth in the 21st century. Empowering African youth in the 21st century. As we see that our youth, they are not happy with the situation they find themselves. Even there are some countries in Africa whereby the youth that were given back to like 20, 25 years ago, they are still being ruled by the same old leaders. So nothing is changing. Everybody is looking at what is happening. So why is this man is still in power for almost 20, 25, 30 years? And nothing is changing in Africa. So this is the time. That's why the youth they are not happy with the situation. That is why the youth are so angry that something must be done urgently to this. So we are not calling for revolution, but we are calling for a kind of serious integration of the youth into the policy and decision making in Africa. That is what you need. We are calling
Yes.
for serious integration of the youth in every part of country in Africa. We want you to be among the decision makers in Africa. That is how we can get it right in Africa. So,
Yes.
in lieu of this, my question to you, Mr. Brace, is that what do you think are the problems facing the youth in Africa that do not allow them to develop within the society they find themselves? What do you think is the problem facing the youth in Africa? If you should discuss that.
Thank you. There are several challenges faced by African youths, and allow me to outline a number of them. Number one, the lack of employment opportunities.
Okay.
Number two, failure in the educational system. Number three, family problem. Number four, substance abuse. Number five, negative stereotyping. Number six, poverty. Number seven, lack of intervention to support skills.
Hmm.
And if you allow me to mention crime and violence,
Hmm.
these are just few of what African youths are being faced with. And there
Hmm.
is a reason for all of this. The
Hmm.
reason I believe African youths those who are in the driver's seat of leadership have turned blind
Okay.
eyes to the problems that African youths are confronted with. So, if you should
Hmm.
consider these challenges, it does not allow the African youth to suitor in the front line of society because there are
Hmm.
so many challenges, and our
Hmm.
leaders are not doing so well to address them.
Hmm. Hmm. That is so saddened when we discuss about the problem faced by the youth in Africa. That most of our
Yeah.
leaders, because we youth, we are not saying we disrespect the elders or the leaders, but the leaders, they're supposed to see and listen to what we are facing through in Africa. So if they can listen to us, then they can hear our yearnings, then they're supposed to find the solution to the problem we are facing. But I think the reverse is the case in Africa because every
Mhm.
tide in Africa, they have lost their morale, they have lost their interest in the leadership of our leaders, of our elders, of our fathers, of our mothers. They don't believe in them again because they have They have taken us for granted, and they don't want to listen to us in Africa. That is why the African youth of nowadays are so angry and are so mad that something needs to be done. When you are talking about the issue of unemployment, you are talking about the issue of family problem, you are talking about negative stereotyping. That negative stereotyping, I just want to address this issue. They say, okay, youth are lazy in Africa. Youth are lazy in Africa. How do you justify that
Come again.
youth are lazy? No, I'm just contributing, supporting all what you've been saying. That so the issue of
Okay.
negative stereotyping about the youth in Africa, that youth are lazy, just to
Yeah.
suppress us, just to make us to feel belittled that no, we can't do anything. No, youth are not lazy in Africa. It's only that just give us the chance. That is what we are asking government to do. Give us the chance. That is what we are asking our leaders, our fathers, our mothers in Africa. That they should just give us the chance to try to do our things. They should be there for us to guide us. We don't ask them to go away. We want them to be by our side as our leaders to guide us. So we want us to be part of the issues. So they should just help us to solve all these problems we are facing in Africa. Now, if these are the problems, how do we address this problem facing youth in Africa, Mr. Dal? How do we address it in Africa?
Okay. The first thing I believe our leaders can do, because if we don't do it, we'll have a new breed of generational leaders that will turn blind eyes when the chances are given to them. Number one, we need our leaders to create job opportunities. And when I say job opportunities, it should be drawn down based on competence, it should be based on merit, it should be based on skills. Allow us the platform to serve. So
Hmm.
create job opportunities. Let's take Liberia for example.
Okay.
The Minister of Youth and Sports, if you should look at the age to be considered a youth, he is not a
Okay.
youth. He's over
Okay.
40. How
Okay.
can 40 how can a 40-year-old man reside over a ministry that should recognize youth problems? That is a tragedy. If you
Hmm.
have someone who has not been in the ghettos of African youth, who have not been behind in the slum communities, who have not been addressed with substance abuse, you don't expect that person to address the problems faced by the African youth. No, it is a complete mismatch to modern society. Give us the chance. But in Liberia, the story is told differently. If you are not relative to the ruling establishment, and this is where nepotism and favoritism comes in. They will give government jobs, they will give jobs to people who they know, rather than giving jobs to people who can do the job and who to people who should be given the jobs to. That is so
Hmm.
wrong. We are saying number one, create job opportunities. Number two,
Okay.
there should be programs to train youth on employable skills.
Okay.
If you give us and if you support the programs, if you bring programs, I don't have to graduate from the University of Liberia to go and seek public jobs because I have the skill.
Hmm.
If you organize programs, and such programs should be led by African youth,
Exactly.
and no disrespect to our elders. I think our elders should be there to guide, but allow us to lead. If we
Exactly.
African youths lead ourselves, then I can now see there will be transformation amongst
Okay.
African youth. But that
Exactly.
story is told differently in some parts of Africa. And Liberia is
Hmm.
not far away. Number three, we should support entrepreneurship
Hmm.
so that if you finance my business and that periodically I'm supposed to give you report on my business on and you will now see that I do not have worry to wait for government jobs because I know government jobs will not be
Exactly.
given to me. But
Exactly.
if you support entrepreneurship, you see that when African youths now have the skills and they have the training, they will now use such skills and training to move into the business world, the business world,
Hmm. Exactly.
and that begins with entrepreneurship. And
Hmm.
if I'm to start a business, what has
Hmm.
happened is that I will now see the need for African youth to be employed by an African youth so that
Exactly.
we will not go on because African youth, allow me, African youths have been affected by what I call the parental syndrome and the
Okay.
parental dependent syndrome. The parental dependent syndrome is the one that African youth always have to go begging to parents for support. They wait
Hmm.
on donor aids, they wait on foreign aid before
Hmm.
African youth can move in the
Hmm.
direction of positive. So if
Hmm.
African are giving support to entrepreneurship, are giving support, and that African youths largely by government, by CSO, by GSO are giving support to our business by Africans, you now see that we no longer have this dependent syndrome because
Hmm.
dependent syndrome, and if you allow me, if you I refer you to the Bible, that
Okay.
the adult man is the devil's workshop.
Okay.
If African youth are not given opportunities, what happens is that they will become very violent. And violence and perpetual hate and negative anarchy have become the DNA in Africa.
Okay.
Number two, engage young people in policy making and development.
Okay.
All we ask our leaders is that number one, create our job opportunities, support entrepreneurship, organize programs that allow youth the skills and training, invest in African employment, and
Yeah.
engage in youth policy making. I think and I believe African youth should be given a seat at the leadership table because we have issues that we are confronted with. And such issues cannot be addressed by the old age African leaders. No
Okay.
disrespect to them.
Hmm.
I think we need to sit at the table of leadership that African youth can now find a remedy or find remedies for the problems and challenges that are confronting them
Hmm.
in Africa.
Okay, thank you, my bro. So I really, I really get you right with what you have been saying concerning the solution to the problem we are having in Africa, especially we youth. So it needs to be addressed if something tangible wants to come out of Africa. As you rightly mentioned, to talk about job opportunities, it shouldn't be a kind of favoritism whereby job will be given. I'm the one in power. I'm a leader. Then I will now be given the jobs to my family or friends. Need to be extended to those. I'm not saying we can't give it to our close friend or whatever, but we should be conscious of the competency, the skillfulness. Those are the things we need to put into consideration. You don't put a square peg in a round hole. It should
Yeah,
be round peg in a round hole or square peg in a square hole. That is how things will change. That is how we are going to have development in Africa. So we need to give the jobs to those who are qualified, those who are skillful. So everybody may not go to school, but some may have the basic skills that can make them to live their life comfortable. So with this, we need job to make the youth be working effectively. So we need youth programs. So I will just, in that aspect, I will just discuss about, okay, this issue of a leadership training program. It should be included when you are mentioning the, you are talking about integration of the youth in policy making. So the youth must be given that chance. Then the youth must be trained. So to take the mantle of the leadership. So they must when they say, okay, we are not ready, we are not ready, they need to just train us. When they train us, then we will know what to do about the situation in Africa. So as time goes on, I think this one will be the best thing to do in Africa. So that is to integrate youth in policy decision making. I think it's part of the issue you discussed, and you talked about entrepreneurship. We need it. We don't need to depend on government to live our life. Youth don't need to depend on government to live their life. So we need to do what we need to accept that, make sure that youth are also partaking in decision making in Africa. I think that's one. The government need to just finance the project. The government need to finance the project. They need to give a kind of orientation on different entrepreneurial skills. So if we can have this, yeah, we won't wait for government to provide for us. We can provide for ourselves. We can have a kind of partnership in businesses in Africa. That one can develop. It means that one will take care of the family needs and other things we want. Other things youth want in Africa. So, in lieu of this, we appreciate that youth must be considered and must be given the chance to perform effectively in the development of Africa. So, I think so. I will ask this because we still have just less than 7 minutes to end of the show. Where will you see African youth in the next 10 years? Let me explain this. You see that in Africa, so we have this African Trade Continental Act that we are going to, that all African countries, 54 African countries are trying to get into by signing. So where do you see African youth in this process? Because it's gonna involve African youth. So in this sense, now where do you see the African youth in the next 10 years? Where?
Okay. The proposal we are making to our leaders, when they are accepted, and they should be accepted, because the driving force for every developmental country or every developed nation has been largely tied to you you see that the African youths, and now, because many African youths are rising and they are saying that this should be done, our inclusion in the policies should be made. I can now see that in the next 10 years, on the path that Khumo
It's like the signal. Are you still there?
I can see
Hello?
Isaac Bacon of Liberia.
Are
I'm
you still
there.
there? Okay. So, okay, it's like the
Yeah,
signal.
I'm still there.
All
And
right.
in the next 10 years, I should
Yeah.
see the path of African youth as we now have it. Khumo Africa and South Africa should be leading the charge. I should see Dear Youlo of Liberia leading the charge. I should see Tia Winto, who is serving currently on the United Nations Board on Climate Change, leading the path. If these are met, then African youth will be able to achieve the sustainable development goals. Then African youth will be able to suture on deepening good governance and leadership in Africa. Then, as you see, African youth combating climate change. As you see, African youth capturing the fourth industrial revolution. As you see that the economy, because African youth now in the next 10 years will be allowed to make progress. And this progress will be one that is inclusive. Because if Africa and African youth should rise up, then the problem in South Africa should be the problem of Liberia, should be the problem of Uganda, should be the problem of Nigeria, should be the problem of Ghana. So that this Africanness is a sense that you have unity amongst African youth. In that way, we will lead the force to make Africa great again. So in the next 10 years, if we continue on this trajectory, engaging our leaders that we want to be part of the plan, we want to be part of the developmental process, we want to be part of changing the story, then in the next 10 years, African youth will be invited and will be leaders on the table of civilization.
Exactly. Thank you, my bro. So I really appreciate that point that in the next 10 years, if things work well with youth in Africa, we should be somewhere that's meaningful to the development of Africa. So, my bro, I will just ask Mr. Dia Yulo, what is your impact? What have you been doing to achieve all this youth engagement in Liberia? I say in your community. Well, what have you been doing? What are your activities? What are your achievements in youth empowerment or whatever, and other programs in Liberia?
Okay, number one, as an African youth in Liberia, you realize that our leaders have turned blind eyes to the underprivileged, or sometimes we call them orphans. What I've been working with is to provide the means by which individuals from the orphans community can now be accepted into society. Because if you forget the orphans, you realize that you now grow violent individuals. So I've said no. I've been working with number one, the orphan community and helping children go to school, paying tuition. That's number one. I've also been engaged with something I call the legal system amongst African youth and amongst students in Africa, especially Liberia, because you are aware that I'm a teacher. So what I've been able to do is that I have invited young people who are also engaging into the legal system, and we are now trying to see how we can now inculcate and instigate a medium by which this legal, because we are not a group of lawless people in Africa. And this has been one of the negative stereotyping by our leaders. They see us to be negative, they see us to be violent. So I have engaged and I've been engaging numerous youth organizations. Like I have been engaged with the March for Justice on the rape issues in Liberia. When we had 4 months of lockdown during the epicenter or during the outbreak of coronavirus in Liberia, the number of rape cases increased. That we had to make a petition to our president that there should be something done about rape in Liberia. So we have been engaged our leaders on a number of things. We have number one, being able to meet them to talk about our brothers who society have let aside, the less fortunate or the privileged. We have been able to work in a direction that support peace building. The last time I was invited to speak on STEM education, We have been able
Okay.
to be working with youth groupings that support education. We've also been working with youth groupings that support entrepreneurship. We
Okay.
and because these are things that the African youth is confronted with. So
Mm,
me and my team have been able to meet other youth groupings in Liberia, especially, so that we can now channel our qualms, that we do not want to wait and rely on our leaders, that we are
mm,
able to create our own leading force, so that
mm,
Africans and Liberians, especially the youth in Liberia, are now doing a number of things.
mm. Thank you, my bro. So I really appreciate that the effort you have been putting in under STEM and other ovens and the likes. So I think everything will be okay. As time goes on, youth will be on the apex of the situation in Africa. So to end our program, I will just ask you your advice to the youth in Africa. What is your advice towards youth
Thank
in
you,
Africa?
my brother. It has been a privilege, and as I close, I would very much appreciate I can now see a sense of in you. But we should not forget, this is my concluding advance to youth in Liberia, to youth in Nigeria, to youth in Somalia. Violence is never the answer. Violence is never the answer. If
Hmm,
African youth should be given opportunities, we should now see that maturity should be in our ways.
hmm,
And as I leave you, I should now see African youth going to skills training. I should now see African youth engaging in opportunities and programs that allows them to be active in the empowering Africa. I should inform you that the African youth, as I leave you, you should move in the direction of peace and unity. Peace and unity is key if we are to prove that we should be given the chance to lead. We should now see that the African youth should not only
hmm.
seek entrepreneurship, they should be able to link the bridge between one African youth or one African organization to the next African youth organization. Because the
Hmm.
Africanness is what we seek for. So as I leave you, number one,
Okay.
unity, as you say in Swahili, umoja is paramount. We
Hmm,
need unity amongst the African youth. We need
hmm,
peace amongst the African youth. And we
hmm,
need to empower the African youth. When the
hmm.
African youth are in power, we can say that in the next generation, the leaders of the day will be African youth. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, my brother, dear Yulo Brains from Liberia. We have been engaging dear Yulo Brains from Liberia on the issue and the topic of empowering African youth in the 21st century. And we all can see that he has done justice to the topic. We really appreciate your effort. We really appreciate your contribution towards this. We say thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to talk with you on the African Portal Radio TV. We say thank you very much. I know that one day Africa will be great. I know that. I'm sure that youths also in Africa will arrive there one day. It may take a long journey, but if you continue keeping pushing, then everything will be okay for us in Africa. I wish you well in Morovia. My regards to everybody over there, your team and the likes. I say thank you. So as we end the program on this African Portal Radio TV, yeah, though after the program also we will have a birthday celebration of these great icons. That is our pastor, Dr. Gio Akintola, the Apostolic Church, Johannesburg. Also, Yusran, Sheikh Idris Yusuf Orelupe, so he's also celebrating his birthday. Also, Ifeoluwa Osoba. These are the people that are celebrating their birthday today, and we are going to be celebrating them after this program live on the African Portal Radio TV. So let's stay tuned, okay, to watch the program. Okay, so let's watch them. Pastor Dr. G.O. Akintola, also Yusran Sheikh Reis, Yusuf Orelupe, and Ifeoluwa Oshoba. Happy birthday to you all. May you live long, long life and prosperity. And I pray that by next year you should be happy with sound health and abundant wealth. I wish you all a happy birthday. Pastor Dr. Gio Akintola, Yusram Sheikh Idris Yusuf Aurelupe, and Ifeoluwa Oshoba. Many fruitful years in life with abundant blessing from God. I wish you happy birthday. So I remain yours on the African Portal Radio TV, Khumo, Africa. I say, Africa is my focus. And you, till next week, we meet again. Until tomorrow, join us in our own program tomorrow too on the Jumat's Tonic. So that we are going to invite our brothers also from Nigeria joining us on that program. So I wish you happy day till tomorrow that we are going to be live again. I say bye for now with this music from Fela Anikulapo Kuti, International Tip Tip.
International team, international team, international team. International team, international team, international team. Oh, international team, international team. IT, international team, international.